but it would probably be better. Hey, folks, we're just populating the room. Here we go. All right. Hey, Johnny, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you very well. Can you hear me okay?
Right on. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, breaker 10-4.
Room is populating, so let's get her going, buddy.
So I was watching that video. I loved the energy to start. I hope everyone's doing well. It's been a while since we've had a chance to speak. I was seeing which of those retirees I resonated most with, and I think it's the dude on the lime green scooter with the gardening gloves on. Unsure whether he's going to make it till the end of the day. That was great. Anyway, it's a pleasure to be here again.
It's awesome to be here as well. Great to have you back. I know you've been doing a significant amount of traveling and with significant amount of fruit as well that we're going to have an opportunity to talk about today. So we had a great call this afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, typically for our European folks and individuals in all parts of the world. And boy, oh boy, did we get a lot of positive feedback from that call. So we're going to be obviously sharing that with you again today and kind of giving you some updates on some of the things that we've been doing in the background. And we're pretty darn excited, trying to keep my emotions down because it is really, really exciting what we've got coming. And it's, I think it's a game changer. I really do. John?
Well, it certainly is. It's for a lot of people. And it's something that's been in the works for some time. Hence, my being off the continent for a month.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, listen, I put this slide up here because I think it's important to understand who we are. There's always a lot of new people that are joining us on our webinars here. So welcome to Unifii. My name is Ron Montaruli. I'm the CEO. This is John Kinnear, our Chief Marketing Officer as well. Unfortunately, David Dewar is not available today. He's our Chief Technology Officer, but he'll definitely be with us next week. Just kind of want to talk a little bit about the realities. I was having some conversations this week, and sometimes you forget. And I was just thinking about, we were talking about retirement, we were talking about dreams, the next stage of life. And we were just talking about a lot of people still having to continue to work and not quite there. And I just wanted to remind people that what we're about, what this company is really all about, and whether it's retiring older or whether it's retiring in midlife or retiring really, really early, who knows, maybe in your 20s, I don't know your situation, but the reality is 95% of the people actually never get the opportunity to live out those retirement dreams. And I just want to kind of point out a few things which are very, very important, and that is why. And the reality is this: there is, in essence, many of us have a lack of discipline. You've heard me talk a lot about the fact that you should pay yourself first, always. Pay yourself first, always. And the second point is take advantage of compounding. We all know that Einstein called that the eighth wonder of the world. But what we sometimes do is we don't allow compounding to work in our favor. And what we end up doing is we end up sticking our hand in the cookie jar. So we paid ourselves first, but sometimes when we look at a difficult situation financially or whatever the case may be, we stick our hand in that particular cookie jar, which is really one of the worst places you could go, because now you're not allowing compounding to work for you. It really should be the discipline of not looking there. visualizing and accepting that that doesn't even exist. And this is going to be where the money is going to be for the future. And the other thing that I find is the fact that there's a lot of lack of knowledge. You know, I've had the privilege of sharing a lot of this information to a lot of people around the world for many, many years. And it still boggles my mind how many people really don't understand the basic fundamental concepts of building wealth. And I guess it all comes down to the fact that we're not taught. It's really, in essence, not our fault. But, you know, the information is out there. Well, the other issue is, who do you trust? And lack of knowledge, I think about understanding how fees can kill your retirement, how market crashes can kill your retirement, how chasing past performance can kill your retirement, meaning, you know, there's a lot of funds out there that people put their monies in, or the account managers put their money in. What they were great performers in the previous year, but the reality is they have been proven not to be the next great performer. So you end up putting your money in chasing performance, and that's not necessarily the best. Just some real basic things. You've heard me say that when there's blood in the streets, that's when cash is king, and that's when you should be buying. It's really interesting. Don't go against the market, against the trend. And knowledge, really important to have that basic fundamental knowledge. And then I think it's lack of support. And what I mean by lack of support is the ability to be able to get yourself in an environment where you have people that have the same dreams, that have the same goals, that are maybe looking to learn as well, and an organization like Unifii that's prepared to provide you the necessary education as well as the tools to take advantage of time. Time is your greatest asset. After time, it's the knowledge of how to be able to properly use your money so that you can ultimately retire living the goals and dreams and aspirations that you really want. So I wanted to kind of highlight that, because at the end of the day, that's an absolute core piece of who we are as a company. And we want to make sure that we're helping as many people as possible to slash that number. You don't need to be part of those 95%. Even if you're sitting on the line here today and you're in your 50s, you don't need to be part of that 95%. If you're in your 30s, boy, oh boy, with the right information, you won't have to go past your 50s. And if you're in your 20s or 30s, boy, oh boy, we ever going to be giving you some information that's going to ultimately, I think, be life-changing. So that's what we're trying to provide people and empower people to do this on their own, because if they don't do it on their own, that means they're depending on others to do it for them. And when that happens, you're out of control. And when you're out of control, you're not in the knowledge. And when you're not in the knowledge, then you're really at the mercy of, well, quite frankly, individuals that might not necessarily look for your back at all times, because ultimately they're there to take care of themselves. John, anything on this? I know that you really like to study this, and anything you want to add to this?
Robert was just asking about 40-year-olds. If you're 40 years old, Robert, you're screwed. There's no doubt about it. And then you start to have a sort of a second life after 40, I think, which is what I'm hoping for. So yeah, it's you know, I look at this photograph and I get sort of there's mixed feelings, and one of them is, of course, if this gentleman in this photograph is there because he wants to be there. He's retired and he really enjoys spending time around people, and this is an opportunity to take 3 or 4 hours out of the house and have a little bit of fun. Then it's a feel-good photo. Where it makes me feel a little bit bad is if he never aspired to this, if he never planned for this, and this is something that he had to do as an emergency because there just isn't enough resources for him to survive. And that makes me feel really upset, because this is that period of time where life should be a celebration. And someone of this gentleman's age, when he was a young man, it was a few decades ago, when he was sacrificing. It also made me think of, and this is not a positive thought, but it made me think of Bernie Madoff and the number of people that followed him, and all the devastating damage that he caused by, well, stealing people's retirements. And I remember hearing in the news how some people responded to that. Some people just couldn't wrap their head around that they had done all the right things, that they had prepared. They were expecting to go buy an RV and go or go hit the road or get on a plane and go travel, and all of that was taken away from them. And it was back to the grind until the end of their days. And some people just, they took their lives. It was just an insurmountable mental challenge for them. So I think it's a very sensitive issue, and it's one that I'm very excited that we're creating roadmaps to be able to navigate effectively.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And that's our company. I mean, at the end of the day, we really do want to help you as financial publicists. We're trying to provide information that's going to help you take advantage of the different strategies, different principles, and different tools. And we're always looking for better and better tools, and we're always attempting to improve upon on the existing tools. You hear me talk a lot about diversification. There's a lot of different ways in which you can make money. Most people don't do it because they don't understand it. It's not that there's not an internal desire to do so, but in most cases, financial institutions have made it complicated on purpose so that you need to depend on the expert. And that expert is going to make some significant income. When banks are making billions of dollars in profits, you have to ask yourself, why am I only getting like 0.7% on my savings account per year? This doesn't make sense. Why am I getting feed to death when I'm putting the money in their bank to make more money, and they're charging me to put the money in their bank? You know, you ask yourself some of these questions. You have to think to yourself, there's got to be a better way. And I think that that's what this company really, really is all about. So diversification also means that we want to show you in a very simple manner, because that's got to be the key. Otherwise, you won't do it. A simple manner to be able to put yourself in a position to take advantage of emerging markets, such as cryptocurrencies, existing markets with trillions of dollars being exchanged on a daily basis, and that long-term, I call it the battleship, where you're talking about the stock market, where you have the ability to be, quite frankly, a little bit less riskier, giving you the ability to be able to also maneuver and manage through that environment. And we can show people that, and that's exactly what we're about. Now, in reference to the cryptocurrency elements, you all know that David typically does this, but he's not here today. So every single week we provide an altcoin report, which is really looking for some great coins that are already in the market. But a lot of people look at these coins and they just see them as let me just throw some money at that and see what happens. Or let me throw it like at 5 or 6 or 7 of them or 10 of them and see what happens. Or let me just grab the top 10 and see what happens. Well, the reality is there's a better way. And the better way is to learn and understand what companies are doing out there that are working in the blockchain environment. And maybe it might make more sense to get a little bit of a deeper look into the company and why you may want to take a look and putting some money in this one and not just try to get in and out, but let it sit there for a year or 2 or 3, because it's generally a company that's on the cutting edge, leading the pack in a new environment, which is blockchain technology, not cryptocurrency. It's really about blockchain. It's really about being decentralized. It's really about taking that third-party person out of the picture. So basic attention token, or as commonly known as BAT. I mean, I've heard about BAT and I've looked at it a little bit here, but until I read the report, I didn't quite realize what an incredible coin it was and what a great company it was. So what does BAT even do? You know, if I ask most people that are listening on the call here right now, you probably, if you're into crypto, you've probably gone on your exchange and you've probably seen BAT, and you probably have no clue what it is and what they do and why should you consider it. Well, what BAT does is it provides payments for digital advertising. So they're a blockchain that's focusing on the advertising, on the online advertising world, which has a lot of issues. What's really cool about this, which I thought it was, it's kind of like a push-pull marketing, meaning not only are people, paying for the ads and putting them on there, and then there's that for every click, you're going to get charged and all that kind of stuff. But here's what they're doing. They're doing something where they're going to reward the advertisers and reward the content publishers and reward end users. So really what they're trying to do is to really fix some serious online advertising issues. Now, you're going to want to go through this this particular report, because it gets into some real serious depth as to explaining what's out there, what's going on, and what needs to be fixed. And the reality is there is a complex array of middlemen that are involved, and it's a matter of pulling them out, which allows the online marketing and digital marketing to become more cost effective. And what's really good is it rewards people for looking at advertising. So that, usually the person who's putting the advertising up gets the click, and so forth and so on. You're getting paid that way. But in this way, they're encouraging people to look at the advertising. So now you have a more positive effect. Again, this is an ERC20 compatible coin. And you have a couple of options. We share with you, I think, MetaMask and My Ether Wallet are a couple very, very popular ERC20 compatible wallets. But you can also use Brave browser. What are you talking about, Ron? Well, if you actually go to the Brave browser, Brendan Ike is the founder of Brave. Now, he's also the individual who created JavaScript. He's also the one that was involved with Firefox. He's come out with his own browser. And if you actually download your browser, the Brave, just go to brave.com and download the browser. You can
I thought it was brave.google.com.
I don't think so. Brave.com will do the job, my friend. 25 BAT. They're going to give you 25. If I'm not mistaken, they were like something like $7 or $8. So that's pretty awesome. You're already going to get a reward. You can get a reward. And I actually did this today. I was just looking at it when we were talking to Dave, and said, I'm going to go in there and pick those up. And I got 25 BAT, which is pretty cool. And I can just sit on them, let them sit there. Let's see. Who knows? They might turn into $100, $200. Who knows what will happen in a couple of years from now. So you can go on there.
It's a great idea.
It's awesome. And this guy knows his stuff. So a great opportunity for you to get involved with that. So again, if you want to, what's cool about Brave as well, not that I'm marketing Brave in any which way or form, but they're putting in some real key technology to protect your footprint on the internet. So they know that there's a lot of issues, and they're going after Google, my friend, and they really want to find an opportunity to be able to maybe provide people better security. And that's the road that they're going down. And I think there's a huge marketplace out there for that. So I'm going to start playing around with it and see how great Brave is.
I think one of the reasons that would be worth supporting too as a group is that we do have a lot of content providers in the Unifii family. And if you do a little bit of research online as to what some of these individuals with large followings in YouTube, for example, earn, they used to do extremely well. And that's been pulled way, way back to where content providers, sometimes they get 1 million views per video. Really, it's a supplemental income now. Whereas you think you create 1 million views for video, you've got yourself a full-time career that pays really well. But that's not the case. And so I would agree. I think it's certainly something there's a need for.
Cool. That's awesome. Well, hey, listen, it's our weekend review, so we're going to plow through this as well. One of the things you want to make sure is please read the step-by-step Binance trading PDF. This is a system. This requires you to put into place the idea of putting in, stop losses, take profits, and things of that nature. So it's really, really important that you understand this, because I still think some people don't clearly understand that this is trading. This is not investing. It's different. And the trading will give you the ability to take advantage of opportunities. Now, that being said, again, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, it's all been kind of in a funky place. We've gotten to the point of the declining triangle. Now it's broken it a little bit. There has been some movement up from the 62.50 up to around the 65. Is it a fake breakout? We don't necessarily know. Why? Because the volumes are really low. The volumes have still not kicked in. And I don't know this for a fact, but I really believe that has a lot to do with the rebound in the stock market. I think that there's some monies that are being earmarked for cryptocurrency. And I honestly believe with the environment switching back and continuing to switch back, I think today was another good day, that you're going to maybe see that that's still earmarked for 2019. We're still at around 200 and 250 billion. We really should be somewhere near the 400 billion, the 800 billion, 1 trillion in 2019. That is going to be where things start to change considerably. That being said, what we're always trying to do is take advantage of when the opportunity strikes. And this is really, really important. Right now, the opportunity is very minimal, but as you will see, probably in the very near future, we're going to take advantage of some serious moves. And that's what trading is all about. Some people think that you trade no matter what. The reality is there's this thing called timing, and it's involved in trading as well. So in this particular week, what we have is 5 wins and 7 losses. So the reality is we've been in a situation where we're trying to get ourselves into a position where we're potentially seeing the breakout, but we're not seeing the volume. We're not seeing the gas to follow it through. So it starts, so things are looking good, and then the volume drops significantly, and so it doesn't have enough gas. In that kind of an environment, it's extremely difficult to identify and know exactly when things will take off. So what do? What you do is you put yourself in that position knowing that you're going to have some small losses along the way. That's just the reality. But you're going to kick yourself when you're not in, and then all of a sudden that was the one that just took off. And that's trading. That's the truth. So this week, even though it wasn't really a great week, it wasn't a losing week. It was, 0.0052 Bitcoin, which is really squat, to be honest with you. We're not losing. We're not making. There's not a lot of movement there. We're looking for some really nice rushes to take advantage of, or some really good drops to take advantage of as well. We're not necessarily seeing a lot of that. We'll see how we fare this week, but last week there really wasn't too much going on in that environment as well. Again, it's a winning time, but not a great winning time, in all honesty. We've always said that we're transparent, straightforward, and tell you what it is. And I still have an extreme amount of confidence and a positive bullish outlook on cryptocurrencies in general. We are going to have another boom. There's no question about it. A lot of people think it won't, but I don't agree with that at all. The indicators outside of what you see in front of ours is there. The money is going to come in. Blockchain technology continues to increase. You're starting to see individuals like we just talked about getting into the game, getting their teams together, identifying the areas where they can use blockchain technology to be able to overcome problems. This is millions and millions of dollars being invested because this really is the next wave, the next thing. Now, we've been doing a 4-week rolling week, which is great, kind of giving everybody an idea of what's happening over the last 4 weeks. And we did that because we want to continually justify when we say that, our returns are really, really, really good. What we really want to do is we also want to go a little bit further back, because further back gives you a little bit more of a balance, because you really can't determine whether something is working on a weekly basis. That's for freaking sure. And you can't almost do it on a monthly basis either. You need to put in 2-3 months. So by having an 8-week rolling, at least we can clearly see what's been going on. And here before you is the last 8 weeks. And look, if you add it all up, you'll up at 2135. Now, 21% over 2 months is incredible. But what you're probably seeing is that from this last period of time has been pretty quiet in the Bitcoin world. Well, whereas previous weeks, this was 1129. The week before that was, I think it was 14 something, almost 15%. So once there's lots of volatility, there's a lot of volume, there's a lot of things happening, there's media, there's opportunities. When that's kind of subsiding, it's kind of quiet. That's the reality. So what do? We try to reduce any losses. Sometimes our winnings is not that great. Picked up 6% there, which is a pretty darn good week. 2 and a little bit there. And look, 21. You divide that by 2, you're over 10% a week. And that's important because we want to make sure that what we're sharing with people is legit. It's still crazy in my mind. I still think it's absolutely nuts. I also wanted to show people that you can use your calculator slightly different. Some people want to know, well, how do I increase my Bitcoin? Okay, well, what you could do is you could take the calculator out, and instead of putting a dollar figure in there, you could put 1. What's 1? 1 would represent 1 Bitcoin. Well, I put a 24 in there. That represents 24 time periods. Let's say it's 24 months. Let's say we're getting 8.5% increase of our Bitcoin every month. Well, you click calculate, and that turns 1 Bitcoin into 7 Bitcoin in 2 years. You didn't have to buy any. Now, here's the key, and I don't know the answer to this, but I'm certainly bullish on cryptocurrency. And I'm bullish on Bitcoin because Bitcoin is the brand of cryptocurrency. You know, my mother just got recently involved with it. You know, here I am doing this for the last 5-6 months, and 2 years I've been involved. She's always been kind of on one, she's in her mid 80s. So, but she's like, you know, I think I need to get involved with this thing and see what happens with it. So the reality is, if I turned to her and said, oh, Mom, you know what? Maybe we should get you some Ethereum, or maybe we'll get you some Ripple, or maybe we'll get you some EOS. She'd look at me like I had 10 heads. But if I can say Bitcoin, because she reads a newspaper, she knows exactly what I'm talking about. So for that reason, I really still believe Bitcoin is going to be the leading coin. Where it's going to be down the line, I don't know. But for the initial surgence, I'm convinced that that's the way to go. Now, take a look at this, and this is why we're still very excited here. And what John is going to share in just a few moments is also very exciting for all of us as well. Now, again, I don't know the value of Bitcoin in 2 years from now. It could be $5,000, or it could start getting bullish, which I really think will happen. We've seen just under $20,000 already. I mean, who would have thought 2 years ago that Bitcoin would have ever reached $20,000? They would have put you in an institution if you said that to somebody. But the reality is that's exactly what happened. So let's say in 2 years it's worth 20K. Well, if you went from 1 to 7, if you had 1, that means you've got $20,000, which is not too bad. But if you were able to grow it to 7, well, now you've got $141,000. See, for those of you that were hearing about those great millionaires that were becoming cryptocurrency millionaires, how do you think that happened? Well, let me show you. Remember that they were sitting around for 5 years or so when they were at $1, $3, $5. Well, what if we're in the same situation? What if you take that one coin and you wait 5 years like people did with Bitcoin, and they had maybe 1,000 of them, and all of a sudden they became millionaires and people read about it? Well, that's because they were ahead of the curve and they believed in something before everybody else believed in. Well, you use this number, now you turn 1 Bitcoin into 133 Bitcoin. That's crazy stuff. Well, what about 5 years from now? I don't know what the number is, but what if it's worth $50,000? And it could very likely be so. Don't think for a second that it can't, because it certainly can. It's about supply and demand. And you know that the supply is limited. That's the whole concept of cryptocurrency. That's the whole concept of blockchain technology. That's the whole concept of smart contracts. That's the whole concept of getting the third party out. That's the whole concept of not being like a country that can print their bills and deflate the value of it. This is what it is. As people want more, there's only so many out there, and it's just going to increase in value. It's a supply demand. It's math. It could be worth $50,000 or more. Well, 133 Bitcoin at $50,000 is over $6 million. Or you could have had 50K. That's why we're playing in this field. That's why we're providing this information with people. That's why we're not touching your money. That's why we're doing whatever we possibly can to help you to win. But it ain't going to happen overnight. But the reality is, get before the curve, learn the things that others are not willing to learn, and you're going to win. That's the reality. It's just like those folks that are part of the 95 percentile. Those individuals may or may not have properly prepared. They may have not been able to be disciplined. Whatever the situations, everybody's situation is slightly different. But the reality is this: there is something that you need to do. There is something that you need to accept. And sometimes you got to get out of your comfort zone to do that. But that's where the learning is. And that's where the opportunities are. So that's why I'm pretty darn excited to continue to go down the path with cryptocurrency. We're certainly not going to abandon this in any way or form. And as a matter of fact, we believe that these are going to get better and better and better over time. That being said, that doesn't necessarily mean there's not other areas that we can also take advantage of in the financial world. And we said to everyone that we were going to continue to slowly roll out. We're not a cryptocurrency company. We're a financial wealth company. We're a publishing company, financial publishing company. We're trying to provide information to help you win. And so in the next area that we're going to be going, John's going to talk a lot about this now, is something that we're extremely excited about. Extremely excited about. And then we're going to continue to add to that as well. So I'm going to turn the call over to John and let him share a little bit of what he's been working on together with us here at Unifii to bring forward the next great thing. John?
Thanks very much, Ron. So I'll tell you right now, we will give you a sneak peek as to a logo. We are not going to tell you a name, but I have been very close and personal friends with a team of professionals in a financial space for a number of years now, and we stay in contact. And I knew this person when they were just a few years into the Forex game, and in a very short period of time, I was looking at their Twitter account, this particular individual, and it was tens of thousands of followers they had on their Twitter account, just from some of the skill set they had developed with Forex and the effective way they were managing to teach what they do, how they make money consistently in that particular arena. And so we've always stayed close. And when I saw this recent twist or development of their technology, I just felt like we needed to take advantage of this. And so we have, even though this message is on the last slide, I'll tell you right now, we have a worldwide exclusive for something that I just felt was the right thing for us to diversify into. And when we ran this technical analysis past Ron, your CEO, and David, your CTO, they just couldn't ignore the data. And the more we dug into this data and how they were creating it, verified what they were doing, the more excited we became. So let's dive through these slides. So we're not going to teach you a lot. We're not going to share a lot with you yet because we have a very specific release date for all of this information. So this is just a bit of a glimpse for you. It obviously from this slide is in the Forex world. If you are not familiar with Forex, Forex is an abbreviation for foreign exchange. It's the largest, most liquid financial market in the world. It's the money market. And $5.3 trillion daily moves through the, imagine paying off the U.S. national debt in a week with money moving through Forex. It's just truly massive. So let's keep going. All right, so this is where what these guys do really starts to distinguish themselves from almost anybody else. There's about 77, 78 million people, ranging from those that are just hobbyists that dabble in Forex, all the way through to professionals working for themselves in the Forex game. That's an awful lot of people, almost 80 million people. Let's dive through some of these statistics. Perfect. All right, now what's remarkable about this statistic, though, when you look at the retail side, it looks like or reads like something that maybe like Gamblers Anonymous group would talk about, because you've got millions and millions of people involved spending millions of dollars on trying to develop and improve their skills with something called technical analysis, but they're in this constant state of reaction. Now, if you're listening to this and you do a little bit of trading, this is probably going to resonate for you because they're reacting to what the market does. And 80 to 90% of them consistently lose. And in fact, I was even talking to some of my friends that are involved in Forex and have been for many years, and they're always putting money into their Forex, their trading account, just like you would just be feeding a slot machine. It's very, very interesting to me. So this last point, reactive to the market, when we compare this to institutional traders, they actually are the market. So we're talking about the differences. We're talking about world banks, national banks, large financial institutions, governments, global corporations. For example, you think of companies like GMC or Ford, and the amount of outsourcing that they do, the hundreds of millions and even billions of dollars of products that they buy to assemble cars that come from other countries. All of that has to run through the Forex market. It's absolutely immense. And so there's very, very few of these big players when you compare it to 77 million recreational participants, but there's so much money there that they actually represent almost 95% of the volume versus 5% of the volume. So one's the elephant, one's the flea on the elephant's back was the analogy that Troy shared with me. And when you're the flea on the elephant's back, you're barely conscious that there's an elephant. And so you're trying to guess which direction the elephant's going to go, and it's very difficult to do from that perspective. Next slide. And so it really took something extraordinarily unique to pique our interests. And then as we dug in deeper to verify the data, well, it was very obvious to us that we needed to do whatever possible to secure a global exclusive to be able to bring this to all of you. So this is a team of professional traders, but they also have consultants and advisors that have been institutionally trading for decades. And it's the advisors and consultants that are key here. Some of these advisors, for example, manage hedge funds with $300 million in them. And it's a very, very tight group of individuals that are all close friends that use this particular method of trading and are in correspondence one with another. They meet from time to time. And we're very, very pleased to have as business partners one arm of this group of traders and consultants. So they're not using robots. They are trading live, and therefore they adapt in an instant to market conditions. They don't use, we talked about technical analysis. They don't believe in it. So if you are a trader, this may be a bit of a curveball to you. They do one thing only, and they do it extremely well, and they work very, very hard for more than 20 years to learn how to do this. And that is they watch for very subtle indicators as to when the big money is going to enter and the big money is going to leave the market, and they piggyback. That's all they do. So they don't have lines all over their charts trying to guess or where things are going to go. When they develop these skills, and it's a very small group of individuals that do it well, they know when the market's going to move. It almost feels like cheating sometimes to watch them work. What they do use is very, very tight money management strategies. And so you can tell instantly that they're professionals because they're extremely consistent in the way they manage things, but the results that they get from that consistency, and this is to support Ron's comment earlier about consistency and how we don't pay ourselves first in that very, very first slide today. Well, these guys do all those things right, and they do them with sort of a military precision because that's the way they learned, and that's the way you make huge dollars. And when you think about it, if you're responsible for hundreds of millions of dollars of other people's money, that would be expected of you anyway. So very, very good risk to reward ratios. This is key. In fact, you'll start learning lots about their risk to reward ratios. You'll start learning very quickly, for example, with some of their risk to reward ratios, they only need to have a greater than a 34% win rate for all of us to be making money. And they'll show you exactly how they do that. It's quite fascinating. And then, of course, years and years of experience. I think we got one more. Yeah, okay, so here's ultimately putting their money where their mouth is. Now, this is real data. So this isn't a hypothetical, or this isn't a, sort of a system run. This is real data from the last 90 days. I think, Ron, we've got August, September, and October. So take a look at these numbers. So they were real human beings with money with them that made this 84% increase in the last 90 days, so the last 3 months. And by the way, if you compound this, they are actually well over 100%. Because the way their system operates is you will be receiving your gains into your primary account on a daily basis. So when you trade with them, and they'll guide you through this entire process in North America, the US, and Canada, we will be doing something very similar to what we're doing with advanced trading. Troy's with me in Asia, and he spent hours upon hours upon hours in small spaces with these guys, talking techniques and strategies, and wanting to make sure that there was not only the support that they offer, but the direct conduit from Unifii to them that you'll be able to hear from on a daily basis. And so, in fact, we made a handshake agreement that he was not going to sit in my lap during the call. So you'll be able to hear his voice, but you won't be able to see his face. So Troy, why don't you take just a couple of minutes and I don't know. Let us know what. I'll tell you this one thing. Now, you guys all know if you've been in the Telegram groups, or maybe you don't know, but Troy, he sort of sharpened his teeth in retail, in Forex, and he's been in the Forex game as a very enthusiastic student to begin with. Almost 15 years ago?
Yes.
15 years ago. So you're like 9 years old when you started.
Yeah.
That's cool. I asked him to rate he had a first full day of training. I think he was gone for 10 hours or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him to rate his first day on a scale from 1 to 10. 1 being you weren't really impressed. You didn't really see anything you haven't heard before. 10 being this is going to be world changing for you. And he came back and he rated it as a
11. Yeah.
11. So he didn't understand what I was asking him. He rated it 11. But I took that as a very, very good thing. So anyway, please go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, I was doing the happy dance for sure. For the last 15 years, I've been studying, taking courses into Forex, and lo and behold, realized that I was one of those retail traders that was, going from feast to famine and learning the techniques and, looking for that magic indicator that would finally, put my account over the top. And unfortunately, they never show up. And then I come here and I learn how the big boys trade. And it kind of blew my mind. I had to literally empty my cup of knowledge and let it fill up again with the proper techniques. So I was very appreciative of what they were showing, and humbled would be the word. And I'm like, you guys have no idea what's coming. Like, this is so incredible. It's mind blowing. It's this results here is going to be small compared to what I'm seeing the potential for, just because I've seen behind the back curtain of what they're really, really planning. This is just the beginning. So, yeah.
Ron, is there anything you want to share? Because I know you've since we flew all the way over here and spent a month with these guys and were able to verify that they were legit. Then, of course, I know that you've gotten on and you've put a lot of energy in with them as well. So maybe you want to share some thoughts as well.
Yeah, the first thing that came to me as well was, obviously I was very skeptical, just like anyone else. That you want to take a good look at what's really, really going on. And then I had the opportunity to have some conversations and actually do a little bit of training myself. So I had an opportunity to kind of see what was going on. And I too needed to look at it slightly different. And obviously, as the CEO of the company, owner of the company, I certainly wouldn't introduce something to this company that would harm it or its members in any which way or form. But I actually literally turned to my wife and said, "This feels like we're cheating. It's almost feels wrong." Like that is how I felt. It was kind of crazy. The other thing that I liked about it as well is, we're going to obviously give significantly more information on a couple more slides. I'm going to tell you when we're going to be actually sharing more information on this. What I really liked about it is there's different types of folks out there, and the different types of folks are the ones that like to trade, are traders and have the time to do so. So we're going to be able to provide them a platform that allows them to have access to this very, very special information as long as you're a member of Unifii. Also, there's going to be a group of people that are maybe on the call here, that don't want to do the trading, but would like someone to do that on their behalf. And so we've had to go through a lot of different ways in which we could come up with a legitimate legal way of providing this service for people. And so we are going to have two different methods. And for some, you're going to be able to take advantage of it. For others, you're not going to be able to take advantage of it. But we are going to be able to provide it for every single person. So what this is going to do, I think, which makes me excited, is it's going to now allow us to attract the professional and the non-professional individual out there that wants to make money in the Forex business. I'm not going to say guarantee. I'm going to tell you that based on what I see and what I've seen and how I've analyzed this thing, and they've got some private training to review what I thought I had learned, people are going to be coming in hordes. And the reality is this, folks. John already said it, but I need to reiterate it. It's because of who Unifii is. It's about the leadership on the company, John and myself and David and Troy. The people that are part of this company is the only reason why we've been able to be given the keys to this. We otherwise would not be able to get the keys to this. And the only real reason that they're allowing us to do this is because we know we can bring tens and tens and tens of thousands of people that are going to want to get their hands on this. Otherwise, this is the kind of organization like the wealthy elite. To gain access to something like this, it's private, it's hush-hush, and you require $500,000 to $1 million to get involved. That's the reality. When I lived in Scottsdale, Arizona, which is a fairly wealthy place in America, I had some very, very interesting friends. And let me tell you something. If you didn't have $1 million, they wouldn't even look at you. And that's how the wealthy get wealthy, and that's maybe how the others on the outside looking in miss out. And that's what Unifii is about. And that's what these guys are about. They want to make sure that we're providing information for people all around the world that can help them succeed. That's what we're all about. And that's what's key about this. So, John, maybe I went off track a little bit. I apologize.
No, not at all. I knew you were enthusiastic, and I knew you were putting a lot of energy into the research.
Yeah, I didn't want to bring this to this company, and I was hesitant at first. Guys, we're transparent. That's the kind of company we are. I was very hesitant at first, and I wanted to see the proof, and I wanted to go through the proof myself. I wanted to experience it myself, and I wanted to learn it myself, and I wanted to see for sure that this was sustainable. Because at the end of the day, it's about the consistent sustainability of it. And there's more that we're going to be doing that's going to help the average individual out there that has a difficult time communicating with people. We're going to blow your mind. And I think that's going to be a massive piece to what we're doing as well, John. That really is going to be almost insane.
Yeah, Ron, also to speak to that transparency part that you mentioned, they actually publish their results on a third-party platform that is not connected to them in any way, and you are able to confirm every single trade that they make that's accurate. So that was really cool for me, because you hear about a lot of these companies that are saying all these kind of results, but it's their own data. This here is a third-party institution that you submit, and they analyze your trades to make sure you are legit. So that was very cool.
Yeah, we've also been sharing. No, that's great, and that's exactly what we want to do. We want to be a part of an organization. I mean, we're ultimately the marketing arm, and we've been given the exclusive rights to that, which is not an easy thing to do. These are expensive endeavors, but we felt that something like this, to be able to grab it and run globally, that means absolutely nobody else around the world can have access to these guys. They must come through Unifii. They
must come from you. You listening.
They have to come. Well, Unifii meaning they got to come through all of our affiliates.
That's right, to the benefit of all of you. And when you see some of the elements, the pieces that we're putting together for you, as you represent this, it will be very, very easy to share. And we're making sure that we've got some access and some giveaways and some data and resources that will make this just a no-brainer for anyone that you sort of reach out and give some details to.
Yeah, no, and there's some other pieces we're doing as well that will help people that may or may not necessarily have the working capital. We're going to provide them an opportunity to generate that working capital very, very quickly. We want to see a lot of people succeed. We talked to some people this afternoon, and just some of the feedback that we were getting from them as well really is key. And here's the bottom line. You're going to be given the ability to have access to account managers that really only the wealthy elite have access to. We're like the Robin Hoods of the financial world. And we're going to continue to do that, not only in cryptocurrency, but obviously in Forex. And as we continue to move forward, we're going to be providing the ability to do the exact same thing in the stock market as well. One thing at a time. I said this afternoon, and I'm going to say it to you, for all you new people that have joined Unifii this month, you really don't even have a clue what you've gotten yourself involved in. It is way bigger and way more amazing than what was already presented to you. I genuinely believe that from the bottom of my heart. I really believe that. Now, so what we're going to do is this. On Monday night, we're going to be having a call. We're going to have that call on Monday, November the 12th, 2018, and we're going to go through an entire presentation explaining what it is, how it works, all the gory details about that. And it's important because you really want to know more and more, and you yourselves will understand why we're so excited about what's coming down the line. At 3 p.m. New York time for the afternoon folks, that's noon Pacific time. 8 p.m. London time is the same as 3 p.m. time, again, for our folks in Europe. 9 p.m. New York time, which is the time that we're doing for this presentation on Monday, November the 12th. Those same calls are actually Tuesday, November the 13th for our folks in Sydney at 7 a.m. and 1 p.m., as well as 10 a.m. Hong Kong time as well. We're just starting to barely scratch the surface, and the interest that is starting to come our way is quite overwhelming, I want to almost say, almost overwhelming. So we're pretty darn excited about what we're doing here. Again, we're going to release all the details about this once-in-a-lifetime product. We're going to also make sure that I would suggest to you, make sure that all your active and non-active members on your teams are on this call. Prospects are welcome. We're just going to be talking to you, but they're going to be listening in and getting to know who I am, who John is, and David and Troy, so that they have a better feel of who we are as human beings as well. And so I think it's important for them to be on the call, and I can assure you they're going to be buzzing afterwards. I think that what's important is for those of you that are already active, meaning you've paid for your subscription, or you already have an active subscription that the renewal is not necessary yet. You're going to want to make sure you secure that spot and stay there. For those people that maybe a couple of months ago, they decided that maybe what we were offering wasn't for them, they're going to want to get their positions replenished, because they could potentially lose that position. So someone that may have been here a couple of months ago, perhaps they got distracted by some other opportunities. When they come back and they had a team of people underneath them, that team could be gone. So you're going to want to get that message out to them to make sure that they stay active in the month of November. Pay for 1 month or whatever the case may be. Now, on that call on Monday, I'm also going to be sharing a very special offer that we're going to be making on this call. And that's going to be for our active members. That's all of you folks. Non-active members, I'm assuming I don't think there's non-active members on the call here, as well as new members that decided to get started in the month of November. We're going to offer you something that's going to make things quite appealing. Now, I'm going to leave you this, because I'm not going to tell you what it is, but just to share with you. If your subscription is coming up due soon, you may want to consider grabbing 3 months or 6 months subscription, because I'll tell you right out the bat, you will be saving money. So it's up to you. You don't have to if you don't want to. You can come along with us starting December. You will be paying a bit more, but if you want to lock in a cheaper price for all this stuff that's going to be coming, if you are a member with us and you get 3 months or 6 months or 12 months, you're locked in at that price you've paid, and you don't have to worry about the new price that's going to be coming forward. Because with something like this, I can assure you it's not cheap. This is costing us a significant amount of money to do so, but in the same token, you're also going to be able to gain access to something that, quite frankly, people are going to be screaming for. So all of that to say, what we're trying to do is to provide you the best tools necessary to help you down that road of financial freedom. There's going to be corners and turns. We're a flexible company. Our main objective, no matter what we talk about, is it simple? Can people use it? And will they succeed? Is it simple? Can people use it? Will they succeed? Because that, at the end of the day, is what's necessary for each and every one of you to succeed as well. At the end of the day, You've all heard me say this, and if you're new, you'll hear me say this maybe for the first time. But our selfish motivation for this is that we can help each and every one of you become financially wealthy so that you can join us to be able to help as many people around the world that are in need, because there's a massive need out there. And you know what? To whom much is given, much is expected. So why don't we band together? Why don't we make some great money? Why don't we do some great things in this world? Why don't we make a positive impact in all parts of the world? I believe we can. That was the main reason we started this company. And I believe that we are being blessed. And I don't know why, but I believe we are being blessed by these opportunities that are coming our way to be able to do exactly that. I really believe that. You know what? Doing good is good to do. It makes you feel good, and it's certainly something that's going to help someone else feel a lot better than they're currently feeling at the time. With that, folks, I want to thank you very, very much for being on our call. We're super excited. Make sure you're marketing that call on Monday. It'll be the exact same link that we're using right now for our CEO call so that people don't get confused. We will be sending out emails to everyone. And we're also going to be, if you look in your back office, maybe in a few hours, we'll have the recording of this call up. And we'll also have a little kind of like a poster there of the call and the link as well. Let's get as many people as you possibly can on that call so that we unveil what we believe truly is a game changer. All right, folks, take care and God bless.
Thanks, everyone.